A good relationship nourishes you and empowers you. It's a warm constant in your life full of variables. It's like a 24-hour convenience store that's glowing that comforting light in the dark when you're at your most vulnerable moments. Everyone is lucky to have a relationship like that. So how can you have one? Of course, a good relationship stew requires many ingredients. But I recently realized, no matter what kind of relationship, they all require the same key ingredients. And that is commitment, acceptance, and communication. It sounds simple, right? But what does it look like in real life? Today, I want to share my thoughts on this through my story with the Hotties. I never thought that I would have a steady group of friends as an adult, let alone being Chinese in America. When I told my dad I have many friends here, he didn't even believe me. I guess it is kind of hard to believe when you open up YouTube and you see plenty of videos talking about I have no friends. When you add busy adult schedules, physical distances, the fatigue that comes with the tech overwhelm, and me being Chinese in the US, throw in a wild factor of quarantine, times the index of everyone's increasing responsibilities. The difficulty of maintaining friendships in this modern world is compounded. But despite all that, a light shines in my social life that refuses to burn out. And that is the Hotties. Paul kept in close touch with a handful of his art friends after graduating university. As everyone found their partner and got shacked up, which is where I come along, the party grew. Even as a latecomer, I have been with the Hotties for 5 years now. When I first moved to Charleston, they welcomed me with open arms. I remember thinking, wow, I can't believe I already have friends here. They even surprised me with a cake. It was a nice cake too, not a bullshit one. Yay! And ever since then, the Hotties has been a constant existence in my life. It very much feels like a family. The group chat is still active every day. The Hotties is an established tribe. I often wondered, how do we stuck together over the years? Is it just through the power of a spicy group chat? Partially, yes. We can be ourselves here. We come from very different backgrounds. Sometimes we have different views on some matters, but everyone listens to each other without judgments. It is truly a safe space to share thoughts. For me, being around the Hotties is effortless because everyone accepts me for who I am. Everyone cares to listen to me. Every time when I don't get a joke because of lack of knowledge in the cultural background, someone will take the time to explain it to me, instead of just brushing it off. I never have to fight for a chance to talk. I feel like I have space here. Another thing I admire about our group is that we always make effort to be together. Sometimes it's a major life event, like an engagement or a baby shower, or sometimes it's just a good old hang. But we always make a trip out of it. Even in 2020, we worked through traveling complications and 2-week quarantines to spend a few days together on Christmas. And then there was the epic Kenya trip from a few years ago. I sadly missed that one. I had just started a new job a couple months prior, and I thought I would be a responsible adult and put my career first. Thinking back, I wish I joined. Kids, work is not as important as you think sometimes, especially compared to a lifelong memory-creating opportunity. It's easy to think there's always the next time, but how long would that be, really? In my case, this next time still hasn't come yet. Another key ingredient is good communication. One thing I love the most about the Hotties is everyone is very in touch with our feelings, and we never have trouble expressing it. You will often see, "I love you guys," "I'm so grateful for you guys" in the group chat. Growing up in China, openly expressing your love was never something I experienced. But nowadays, I'm pretty good at it, thanks to my friends. Just recently, in case you missed the last episode, Paul and I embarked on a month-long road trip across the US, covering 9,000 miles and sleeping in our converted Prius. Our very first stop was in Asheville, North Carolina, to meet up with, you guessed it, the Hotties. One of my favorite moments during this hangout was on a hike. There's a river that we all have to cross. The rest of the group have all crossed the river, except for me, because the water was bone-piercing cold. And if you didn't know, my two biggest weaknesses is coldness and stinkiness. I could not keep my feet in the water for longer than 10 seconds. And I was feeling so frustrated with myself just sitting there, defeated. And then Jacob and Corwin came back to help me. They were giving me tips where to step, offering to take my stuff. They told me it's all temporary, you can do it. So I decided to give it another try. Also, the rest of the group were across the river cheering me on. I was literally touching the rocks on the river bottom to cross the river. That's a Chinese saying, by the way. And then I finally crossed the river, and all of the group were giving me high fives, cheering me on. And this is when Jacob come to me and say, "Hey Jing, I don't want you to feel like I was pushing you too hard just now, because I also hate that. But you know, people sometimes just need a little push." Living halfway across the world, it's easy sometimes for me to feel lonely. But this group of friends created a home away from home for me. Life is ever-changing, but the Hotties makes me feel like I belong somewhere, always.